I'm in the wind. I actually feel my beard moving in the wind now.
I feel my dick moving in the wind. Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm Terence.
And today we're doing Godzilla.
Godzilla. It is a reboot of a Japanese movie from 1954. I hope I'm right on that.
Oh,
made by...
are gonna get you.
Well, you know what I gotta say. I love right off the bat in the opening credits, they make it known, like you know Toho, which is the film studio in Japan that owns the rights to Godzilla. They wanted it so specific, created and owned by Toho Pictures, I think is what it said, and I was like, right on, man. Godzilla. Basically, Godzilla is a reboot, and it pays attention and it focuses on the atmosphere, the lore, the vibe of the original, the legacy of the original Godzilla movie only. All the campy shit that came after is not present at all. This is a straightforward, serious piece of film.
Who stars in the movie?
The guy from Kick-Ass, Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is okay.
You know what I noticed about him? He's not an action hero, but that's sort of the point of this movie. If we had an action hero, big guy in the beginning there, like, I will fight Godzilla, then it wouldn't have worked as well as it did. Well,
he's still like an army dude, and he's kind of like a small guy, like he was in the first Kick-Ass, and he just kind of put on like a muscle suit. But the muscle suit he actually did with the, no doubt, the assistance of certain anabolic substances.
He's bigger.
He is.
I didn't even realize it was him until like 10 minutes into it. I'm like, oh, is that Kick-Ass?
That's that Kick-Ass guy.
And of course, Breaking Bad's in it.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston. You know what? Just the Academy, please, just throw a fucking Oscar at him because like this guy is gold. Even in the role that he was in, no spoilers, unfortunately. He's great.
He's like the anchor of this film. He's the beginning of the film, and he sets the tone throughout the whole film. And without his performance at the beginning, I don't think it would have went anywhere. We're not going to give spoilers away, but the moments that he has are minute compared to how epic the whole film is. But they're so jam-packed with acting that you just accept it. So there's somebody else in this.
Yo, there's Ken Watanabe.
Now you probably know him from, I don't know, Inception.
Oh, yeah, Inception, Batman Begins. He's one of Christopher Nolan's go-tos.
And there's a reason for that. He's got this sense of honor, and you know what? I'm glad they put him in here because he's the tie to the original Godzilla as well, because he's the only real Japanese character in the film. And without him in the film, it would have been an all-American cast.
And he was the moral center of the movie as well.
Let's get right into...
Oh, there's someone else we got to talk about.
Fine, we'll talk about her.
One more person. Elizabeth Olsen. So she's the sister of the Olsen twins, and she's older and shows what a person from that lineage can do when they don't do drugs. So,
you know what's amazing about her? I noticed it was an Olsen, but I didn't know it was an Olsen.
Mm-hmm.
But she's actually really good in the film too. Everyone's really good. A Kick-Ass character was kind of an average. He was average. I can't say that he blew me away with what he was doing, but I don't think he was meant to be that sort of anchor point for emotion. I think he was just supposed to be the grunt running around, finding things out, saving the day here, failing over here, and then in the end, blah, blah, blah. Moving on to probably the most important part here is there's a huge spoiler. We can't really talk about the plot of it too much, but we could talk about Godzilla. Can't talk about what he does in the film, but Godzilla himself, what did you think when you first saw his face on the screen and he's like, I'm gonna yell at you.
Godzilla was designed beautifully. Like, it's kind of, I can only imagine, because the way the movies are now, they're too diluted, right? So I can only imagine the impact that the original Godzilla had on Japanese audiences when it came out, especially with the cultural and political angle of it, and with the disasters that World War II and the Americans brought upon them. So it was a huge reflection on their time in the world and what was going on with them. So I can imagine the original one being huge for them. So for something to be, I can only, from what I saw with Godzilla, I hoped that what I felt was a small little bit of what they felt when they were just so in awe, because the original Godzilla is a kick-ass movie.
I did notice he's like, people are complaining he's a little fat. And I have to agree there. He's not as slim as the original Godzilla, but
Seriously?
Seriously, it's fine.
Okay, you know
he's
what?
a little fat. Godzilla's a little fat in the movie. I think he needs to run around a little bit more on.
Until the need for Godzilla was presented itself, Godzilla wasn't around. So I mean, Godzilla was chilling in his Godzilla lair.
Yeah, no wonder he's so fat. Because
You know?
he's not doing anything except just eating down there. Taking pisses once in a while. He does. What else did he do? He goes for a swim, maybe. I doubt it. I think that I'm so used to the original Godzilla look that to see him, his face is a little bit different, but it's very similar. Again, I will personally say I think he was like a little overweight.
That's fine.
I just wanted him to be a little bit slimmer so he can move around quicker. Everything's tied in very well to the original and their own little ideas that they put forward. There's a lot of really good sequences that pan out during the film. Again, we can't talk about, well, we can say what happens, but let's just say Godzilla's not the only monster. Can we say that?
Well, Bryan Cranston. You know,
He's a
that dude's,
monster.
he's a monster of television and
I was
cinema.
waiting for Mothra to fly out and take a shit on Godzilla. CGI is a huge part of this film, and without it being flawless, this film would be a disaster. Because of the fact that we have Godzilla and other things that are CGI in the film that are gigantic. And unless they really pay attention to detail, you're gonna just see, oh, that's just a giant CGI. But to be honest, not once did I go, oh, it's CGI Godzilla. Not once did I go, oh, I saw like a CGI blur, or I saw something out of place, or the color tone was off. Every time they put him into the film, which is very limited, and I understand why they did that, but people are complaining, oh, he's not in the film the whole time. Like, he's here, he's there, and he just pops in. Do you not understand the reasoning behind that? You can't just be like, show the title Godzilla, and then he busts through it, and then it's like him for 2 hours just trampling cities. In terms of plots, it's so hard to talk about it, but the idea here is that Godzilla's there, and they got to get him away from the cities, so they have a bomb, and they want to explode it somewhere, and that's all I can really say.
And it's kind of funny.
Things don't work out.
Right, but even the thing with the bomb is it's not as plain cut as we just explained it.
Like there's something else we can't talk about, and that's what really surprised me. When I first saw what was happening after the first like 20 minutes, I was like, what is that? What is that? And I kept thinking like, that's Godzilla? What is that? Then you realize, holy shit, this isn't a Godzilla, just a Godzilla movie. All right, Gojira.
All right, so closing thoughts. The ending is something you're gonna love or hate. I loved it because it's exactly what needed to happen, literally what needed to happen, and the pacing of it too. And I almost wish we can revisit this review and maybe people have seen it, because I would love to go into it a little more. Like, it would just be great.
Look,
like,
fine.
I want to talk about this movie, but I don't want to ruin it for you guys.
It's hard to talk about because there's two things in the film that are like huge. The whole film is actually based on those two things, kind of. Godzilla is not even a lead character in this. It's actually about two other things, and you're like, oh, I see what happened here.
And you know, and what I love about it is how the military is in it, how completely ineffective they are, and it makes me laugh because it's always been that way. It's always been that way in movies where it's like, you know, oh, we see something we don't understand, let's kill it. And of course, with the weapons that humans have, we are so ill-equipped to deal with a situation like this. It was comical, but it was done in a way that was subtle enough that you wouldn't be laughing at it.
Here's the thing. When you shoot your gun at Godzilla and they go, oh, it does nothing, I understand why they would show somebody else shooting a gun. If you were ever in that situation, you're holding a gun, you would probably just fire it at him, at his like toe, because you thought, oh, I might hurt him. He's about to kill everybody, I might hurt him. So logically, I understand why, even though tanks are shooting at Godzilla and it's not doing anything, that people seeing that are still shooting with these little guns. It was like a moment of like, okay, let it go a little bit. And they actually did. They were smart. They were like, military force is not going to work. We have another idea.
Okay. Definitely see it in a good theater with an amazing sound system. You will not be disappointed. Don't see it in 3D because it's a post-conversion. And I saw it and it didn't do anything for me. The film itself, fantastic. 9 out of 10. I looked forward to this, and it delivered. I wasn't disappointed. It's not the perfect movie, but so few are.
It's impossible to make a perfect movie nowadays.
But it's the perfect Godzilla movie.
The kick-ass casting, Aaron,
he's
okay. He's fine, but I mean, I still feel like they could have found somebody else.
Dave Chappelle.
Some of my goods versus negatives. Goods being CGI is incredible in the film. It's finally got to that point where they can create, you know, 100-story monsters that are basically destroying a city, and you're just like, oh my god, that basically looks like a monster destroying a city. Looked amazing. Godzilla again looked amazing. Other things in the film looked amazing. We can't talk about, of course. Bryan Cranston is the anchor point in this film. I'm glad they got him. If they didn't get him, then it wouldn't be as a starstruck cast, and they needed him in this role, and it again proves that anything he basically puts his hand on will turn to gold. Tone of film, that's something that I had hoped they would follow through with up until the last 10 minutes that I lost a little bit of faith, and it was like, if chop off the last 10 minutes, look, we can't say it, maybe one day we'll talk about it, but let's just say for me personally, the last 10 minutes was basically Walt Disney came back from the grave and directed the last 10 minutes of the film. I get why they did it, but it does not match the rest of the film in tone.
No,
it doesn't.
It totally does. Cause
no, it doesn't.
100%
Listen.
does.
Okay, let's be honest here. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. It literally does, at the end, lose its strength on you and turn into a WWE match. It literally is The Undertaker. Other than that, it literally is the best Godzilla film I've seen since the original Godzilla film. It's the best reboot we'll ever get. They've tried to do it numerous times, and it's always been like basically Jurassic Park, because they've been like, how do we make it interesting if he's so tall? Do you want to see Godzilla come back again and do some knocking heads? I definitely do. I mean,
I don't want to see it at the expense of being the bad guy in the Pacific Rim sequel.
No. But, you ready for a team-up?
I could do a team-up.
They, like, hold up a fish, and he comes out, eats it out of their hands, and then goes and fights for them.
And then farts on bad guys.
I give it an 8.5 out of 10. I don't think it's a 9 out of 10 like you do because of that. Well, that ending for me, I understand why it's there. Just in filmmaking, it doesn't fit in this film. It's like even if it was a little bit more subtle, I think I might be able to accept it, but what happened at the end was so silly after everything you just saw that was so serious. It literally turns into Walt Disney, and there's like, it literally is a WWE match where the guy gets up, waves, and leaves, and that's the end of the match. It literally is!
I'm not going to disagree that that's what it is, but I respect your opinion. And I completely disagree with
All right.
That the tone was perfect. It was the perfect ending. I was actually disappointed up until the point that it did happen, and then I'm like, oh, thank God.
We're gonna record a very quick spoiler video. That's all spoilers of us talking about what we can't talk about here.
Spoiler!
And it's gonna follow this video. I'll upload it literally after this video, like a few hours. So that will be heavily spoiler Godzilla video, because I need to talk about it.
Definitely need to talk about it.
We'll see you guys in that video. It's the next video after this video. Just go find it, or I'll link it or something.
See the movie.
Yes, see it. It really is worth it. Thank you.